Today I thought we would continue our snack food theme for the dolls and make some pizza rolls. Stay tuned and see how fun and easy these are to make. Alright, today I'm using Original Sculpey. This is kind of an off-white, very soft clay, and for what we're doing today, that will work just fine. We aren't going to have any really fine detail, and I felt like doing something quick and easy today. So I have pre-conditioned and rolled out my clay to about a 3/8 of an inch diameter, which I measured with my drill gauge. If you haven't worked with polymer clay, I do suggest that you go to my series on working with polymer clay to make doll foods. I've got basically a 101 series on the channel that will help you to learn the basics. So that way we don't have to cover the basics in each and every video. So I've got a piece of 8 squares to the inch graph paper. I like to use this when I am sizing my clay. Now I've rolled it out to 3/8 of an inch. I am going to actually cut a bunch of 3/8 of an inch long pieces. And I'm going to turn the camera off and get this all cut into chunks that are 3/8 of an inch long, and then I'll be back. All right, that's all cut, and now I am in the process of rolling each of these into a ball. This will round off that cut end so we don't have a flat end when we start out. It's really hard to flatten that, to deal with that flat end unless you roll it into a ball. And this one feels small. I'm not going to use that one. I think I might have mismeasured on that one. So I've got a ball. I've got balls. Now, I have a scrubbing pad. This is one of those dish scrubbing pads. You buy it by the sponges and the dishwashing soap and stuff. This is the one that comes from Dollar Tree, and I actually like this better for texturing clay than the one that comes from the grocery store that costs more. I like the texture that this gives things. So I'm going to roll the balls each onto this pad. That way we're getting some texture. We're going to lose a lot of this texture we're getting on initially, but it gives us a starting spot, and then when I can retexture the parts that I need to when I get these shaped. Mainly I want to make sure my ends are textured nicely. So I've rolled each one there. Now, I'm going to kind of roll it, and you can even roll it here, just to get a little bit, kind of a log shape again, just barely. Now, take one of these and kind of between this part of your finger and your thumb, the fleshy part, try to keep your nail off of it and kind of squeeze the edge. Make a little, like the seam on the side of your little pizza roll. Now, kind of ease this up, square it off. Try to keep your fingernails out of it, which is a challenge when your nails are long, like some of mine are right now. You want to kind of pull the corners just a little bit, because on the real ones, the corners kind of poke up a little bit. What we're trying to get is that little seam line on the sides, and make these kind of flat, but a flat shape. If you lose your corners like I did there, do that. Now make these as much the same as you can, because these are machine made. I mean, they will get banged up in the packaging, and the real ones come not completely the same shape, but you know that they started out the same. So I am going to keep kind of forming these, kind of make a little, almost like a little ear at the corners. Just kind of tug on the clay with your fingers and bend it up. But don't make those little flat parts too big. And then back onto our texturing pad. So I'm going to do the other 4 here. And when I get those all textured, I'll come back, we'll do another fun thing, and then we can start our coloring process. All right, I have these all finished, and now we're gonna do something fun. What I've done here is I've taken 4 pieces of aluminum foil, I've scrunched it up really well, and I've made little sticks of it, basically, that are about 1/4 inch in diameter. I've rolled out some of the polymer clay, and I've cut it about 3/8 of an inch wide. And now I'm going to go around, and I'm going to kind of squeeze on each side. And the idea is to get these to look like the end of one of those. Now, take a pointy tool. This one is short enough, it would probably be okay. But I want kind of a rough edge. As if someone has taken a bite out of this. I don't want a straight cut edge, in other words. I'm going to do that one more time on camera, and then I'm going to turn the camera off, do these other 2, and then I'll show you how to do the texturing. So that there, and I've got a very blunt end there. That way it'll hold the end of this and not get too sharp of an edge on the end. Squeeze it just like you did the sides on the pizza rolls themselves. And this one is way too long. So cut that there, cut it here. It doesn't have to be perfect. And these don't have to be the same length. You can, maybe somebody took a big bite out of it, maybe they took a little bite. Don't want it to look like it's been cut, and try to get rid of it's a little too wide there. All right, I'll do the other 2 off camera, and then I'll be right back. All right, I have 4 of these formed, and you can make as many or as few of these as you want. You could skip these entirely, but I just thought it would be kind of fun. You'll see we're going to do a little extra with these after they're baked. And I'm texturing them just like the others. This way they've got a little bit of texture on them. And they'll have lots of texture on the inside because of the aluminum foil that's in there. And you can spend more time texturing these. I'm kind of trying to go through these a little quicker at this point. I just found out I'm going to have a plumber working in here tomorrow, so I really need to get this done today, and I thought I was going to have tomorrow to work too. All right, now I've got my baking surface off to the side. Oops, and I just knocked that. Okay, it's one of those days. I'm going to knock everything over. So I have chalk in here, and I'm going to put a little more in. I have some light yellow ochre. I don't need a lot more of that. I need a little bit. And then I have this kind of reddish brown color. Now, do I have this one? That's the brush I'm looking for. So I'm going to take one of these, dip it in the yellow ochre chalk, kind of blot off some. And again, if you are not familiar with using the chalks, I recommend you go to the playlist of my Doll Foods, Polymer Clay Doll Foods 101 playlist, and look at what I've got over there, because I believe there's an entire video explaining how to do the chalks, what it does, why you're doing it, what I use, the whole bit. And we're not making a total coverage, we want some of that off-white color to show through. We don't want a solid yellow ochre color. We want some yellow, and we also want some of the white showing. It makes it look a lot more realistic. I'm going to go through. I will turn the camera off while I go finish these up. When I get all of them coated in the yellow the way I want them, I will come back and we can go on to the reddish brown. All right, now that I have the yellow ochre on everything, I've got the reddish brown. I've got a little bit smaller eyeshadow brush, and oops, that's a little strong. Mainly, I'm going to start on the edges of each one. Hit the corners, just barely brush over the surface. Let's do that on another one. Do one of these little ones, and then I'll turn the camera off and do the rest of them off camera. Then after they're all chalked, I'm going to put them onto a paper plate to bake them on, and I'm going to put them into about a 225 to 250 degree oven, and I'm going to bake these for 15 minutes because some of these are pretty thick, and I want to make sure that they bake all the way through, because if you don't bake your clay all the way through, it can be very crumbly and it won't hold up as nicely. So once these are baked and then cooled down again, we'll come back and we can go on to the remaining step on the broken or bitten ones. All right, these are all baked, so let's see if we can get the foil out. Now you're gonna have to be careful. These are fragile. You should be able to pull them out. I've got some little pieces of clay here. You can see that. We're going to go on to making the filling. So I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to get all of these peeled. Hopefully all 4 of them. Oh, that one broke, so maybe we'll have 3. You will break some of these. They are fragile because they're very thin and they do stick to the foil. Yeah, I think this one's going to break too. Yeah, that one broke too. I'll turn the camera off so I can do this a little more carefully, and I'll be back when I get these out and I'm ready to do the next step. All right, so we'll have 2 of these. They are a little fiddly and they are very fragile. So they are easier to get off of the aluminum foil if you do it right away when they first come out of the oven. So what I've got here is some white liquid Sculpey that I have mixed with some vermilion oil paint. I then tested a little bit of it just to make sure it was going to be the color I wanted and that it was going to cure correctly, because if you get too much paint in there, it won't cure. Now over here I have a couple of things. I have some, whoops, this isn't under camera. I have some brown clay here that I've just used my pointy tool to pull off just little shavings, little crumbs. And then I have some little pieces of a equal parts white and translucent clay that I have rolled into little tiny balls. And these are going to be our fillings. And I'm going to put them in. Just put in some right on top of that sauce. And I'm going to put one of these in there. And I might make more of the open ones another time when I have more time. Right now, like I said, I have a plumber coming tomorrow, so I need to get done. I'm not going to have as much time for this project as I thought I was going to when I started. Now the liquid clay is going to act as sauce and as glue. So I'm going to put that in there. Now I am, excuse me, I'm going to put a piece of parchment paper on my paper plate and bake it on top of the parchment in case any of that liquid clay runs out. I don't want it to attach to the paper plate. This one is a much better shape. It's a little more open. Put in some. This will be your whatever kind of meat your dolls had in their chosen flavor of pizza roll. And you could use other colors. I don't even know what color this brown is. This was out of my scrap clay bag, so I don't know what it is. In there. And these are both raw clays so that they will bake right with it. You could either bake them off beforehand or just bake them with liquid clay. A little more sauce. Whoops, I forgot to silence my phone. And now this needs to bake at the recommended temperature for another 10 minutes, and then they'll be all done and we can look at them once they get cooled. All right, I managed to get 2 of these done. I love how they turned out. Off camera, I'm going to try and get a couple more of the bitten ones done so I can kind of give you some hints and tips on the blog post. But I love how these came out. I've got my little volunteer here. I think she's going to reach in and see if she can get one. So you can see they are good scale. Be a lot of fun in your doll scenes for pretend or just for a scene to set up. I love how these turned out. I hope you do too. If you enjoyed the video, be sure and hit the like button. Leave me a comment. What kinds of things would you like to see in future videos? I am making lists and I am kind of dividing the year up a little bit by theme. So right now, if you haven't noticed, we're doing kind of snack, easy to make foods like the kids would make themselves. And then we'll go on to some others as the year progresses. If you enjoy my content and haven't subscribed, I encourage you to hit the subscription button and the notification bell so you know when I put up a new video. Be sure to check the blog post for photos, more information, and like I said, I will see if I can work out a little bit more consistent way to make the bitten off ones to get them off the foil. And if I do, that will be in the blog post because I'm going to do that while this video is rendering. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.